Da-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Okay, so if you didn't click out of my video right away, I really wanted to do an X-Men ranking video, and the only really thing I can do, because I don't think they have all the runs that I can rank that I've read, we have the movies. Now, I'm kind of the in-between fan where I think I like some X-Men movies, but I also think a lot of them were a product of their time. So it's going to be really fun to kind of re-rank these. I've watched them all pretty recently, in the last few years at least, and I am going to rank them from Omega Level Mutant Movie, which if you don't know what that means like the best of the best, the strongest of the strongest, and so on. Then the rest are pretty self-explanatory. And then we have Chuck Austin's X-Men Level Bad, and if you don't know who Chuck Austin is, you are very, very lucky. But yeah, no, Chuck Austin's a fucking terrible, terrible X-Men writer. He did one of the worst runs ever of X-Men, so that has to be one of the worst movies ever created for X-Men. Will any of these land on there? Let's find out. All right, so let's start off with X-Men. Now, X-Men came out when I was, I don't know, 11, right? 2000. And, yeah, this one's that product of the time I'm talking about. I rewatched this a few years ago, and it did not hold up very well. There's some cool moments, I think, with Wolverine. He's also really scrawny in here compared to what he becomes later. And then I also think that a lot of it is cheesy. Now, I like my cheese. I read a lot of comics. There's cheesiness in here. But this was a little overbearing, and I couldn't get over some of the acting and some of the storylines. But I gotta say, it's not a horrible movie. I don't even think it's a bad movie, but I don't know if I'd put it in a solid movie. I think there's some cool parts of the movie. I think it definitely helped boost superhero movies, but rewatching it, I definitely don't ever want to watch this again, really, unless I kind of have to show my daughter in like 10 years a product of when I was her age. But yeah, it's forgettable. That is going in the some cool parts, but okay movie. Almost solid, but not there. Alright, so X-Men 2, probably one of the greatest openings of all superhero movies. Still holds up, still amazing. Nightcrawler is my dude. Saying that, it is an older movie, and it does have some of the cheeseball things that the first X-Men has have. And if we're talking about it following the comics, it does not really at a lot of times. However, as a movie itself, it holds up pretty well. I think what happened here is that the director who became, or not became, but got outed as a Predator, he had a vision, and the vision was pretty cool, and it ended up with Jean suffering from the Phoenix attacks on her mind. And so that built tension throughout the movie. Is she going to become the Phoenix? Is she not? She has some of the powers. She doesn't have all of them. And eventually we get a really great climax. We get a great fight with Wolverine and Deathstroke. What? Lady Deathstrike? I don't know where the fuck I got Deathstroke from. It's because I'm reading too much DC. And we had just really great character development and character interactions. Yeah, Iceman got an awesome upgrade in this movie to actually make him an actual character. Rogue was great. Wolverine was excellent. Everything really worked in this movie for me. It's one of my favorite superhero movies from the early 2000s. I think it definitely has, you know, some issues as it's much older. But as a movie that stuck with me and I still would put it on and enjoy it now, I gotta say, it's pretty damn good. Don't know what the fuck that accent was. Alright, so let me take you back in time. I'm a very excited little boy. I've just seen X-Men 2. I waited 2 or 3 years for X-Men 3. I'm so hyped. I loved X-Men 2. I'm reading Ultimate X-Men. I'm reading Grant Morrison's X-Men. Everything is going right in life. I don't have any worries. I don't have any big bills. And then X-Men 3 comes out. Yo, this shit was horse shit. Horse shit. It is still horse shit. Don't get that confused with regular shit. It is horse shit, meaning bigger shit. Listen, X-Men 3 has multiple issues. Multiple. But the greatest issue of this movie is it just doesn't feel like it connected to the first two at all. Now, give or take, it did have a different director, and that can cause that. But my God, all the character development building up to this, the big Phoenix reveal sucked. She was not good in it. She was barely used. She was basically used as like a possessed creature, which I know the Phoenix does, but she doesn't feel like a force of nature, a force of a alien invasion. She just feels like a dull exorcism type shit going on. I didn't feel any emotion. Spoilers, when Wolverine had to kill her. All the characters in this movie barely had any development, and yeah, this movie's a big stinker, a big old shit-a-poo. So we're gonna put this in yeah, Chuck Austin X-Men Level Bad. This is pretty horrible. All right, X-Men First Class. The only X-Men film I didn't see in theaters in my whole life. Nope, I take that back. There's one other, which we will get to. First Class is kind of that movie where I feel like I'm the odd one out. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's solid. I think the acting is vastly improved from the older crew. I guess it just never stuck with me. I think that's the thing, is nothing really stands out. I think it's like a solid made movie. I think the villain is interesting enough. I think there's great parts with Magneto and Xavier. I just don't feel it, though. I don't feel this cast as much, I guess, for this movie. Or maybe just the storyline didn't really gel with me. I don't really know. Listen, I'm going to give it a solid because I think it's a solid main movie. It's just one that didn't, like, blow me away, but I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again, but that's it. All right, so Days of Future Past. This is kind of a weird one for me because I saw this in theaters with my wife. I think it was enjoyable. I think it had some really cool parts, and I really, really liked the actual storyline, the future storyline. I loved watching the X-Men get murdered one by one, and you knew that they were probably going to really die in that time period because they're in the future, not the current, so who gives a shit, right? Now, I will say, as someone who read Days of Future Past the comic, I did find it kind of a little bit irritating that Wolverine was kind of the main stage of everything in this, but he still did a pretty good job. I like Hugh Jackman. I don't know. I can't pronounce shit. But yeah, it's a good movie. Again, a solid movie, but it's not one that, like, really blew me away when I saw it. Like, I couldn't really understand why everyone else loved this movie. Saying that, I think it's solid. I think I like it more than First Class. I think I remember more parts from it. And it's an enjoyable movie. It's an enjoyable movie. So I'll put it in the solid section in front of First Class. Why won't you let me? Ha 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 ha. Thank you if you are still sticking with me through this video. All right. Days Future Apocalypse. I think it was just called X-Men Apocalypse. Just like, what the fuck? This movie was something. I don't think it was like the worst thing I've ever seen. When I saw it in theaters, my main thought, my train of thought, the fucking thing that I don't have right now, was that it was okay. Like, that's how I felt the whole movie. Like, there were cool parts, there were cool fights. The ending was trash. The Apocalypse costume was trash, and the storyline was very, very long. Okay, so maybe I didn't like this movie that much, but I didn't hate it. I have to say, I didn't hate it. I found it pretty dull for the most part, but I don't think it was Chuck Austin level bad. So for that, I think I'm gonna put it in the dull. Let's give some dull love. What was this called? Phoenix Rising? X-Men Rise of the Phoenix? X-Men Phoenix Part 2. X-Men Phoenix. This was trash. There was one really cool scene in the train, where Magneto just, like, fucking murdered people. That was awesome. Yeah, we're gonna put that in the Last Stand, which is funny because you got the two Phoenixes sucking ass. Two Jean Grey sucking ass would actually be pretty awesome. But not these movies. These movies sucked ass. Like, really just sucked ass. Like, badass. Like, stinky ass. All right, so we have Wolverine Origins. Excellent video game. Really good. I love that game. It's one of my favorite movie times, if not my favorite of all time. This movie, though, was absolutely one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And I never, ever want to suffer through this fucking movie ever again. You are going in the poopy Chuck Austin level shit bad. All right, so the Wolverine, I actually saw it on Blu-ray. I didn't see it in theaters. And I didn't see it till years later, right before Logan. And it's pretty good. It has some cool parts in it that I liked. Some really cool fights. But that train sequence looked really bad. Like, where did the budget go? And the last samurai fight was okay at the end. But, yeah, I liked Wolverine in here. I liked that he was just kind of being his loner self. I like that. And, yeah, he was a samurai Wolverine, which is always cool. So, you know, I'm going to put in some cool parts, but just an okay movie. Ba-da-boop. All right, baby. We got Logan. Logan. Stop that shit. Okay, come on, guys. This is Omega level. Nothing else needs to be said. But I'm going to say stuff anyway. Logan seriously has some of my favorite moments of all superhero movies. It has the heart. It has the brutalness. Speak, James. And I really, really enjoyed the storyline here. It definitely felt like kind of the last days, like post-apocalyptic world for Logan. and you just get little tidbits of the past that just kind of be like, I loved it. The really only negative thing I can think of is that it was Logan as the main enemy, the clone, and I thought that was just okay. Everything else, loved this movie. The acting, the storyline, the pacing, the fights, the cinematography, everything was great in this movie. Well worth it, and one of my favorite superhero movies, period. And now we get to Deadpool. Now, Deadpool is a ton of fun. I really enjoy Deadpool. It obviously was a nice surprise hit in some ways. I think everybody expected Deadpool to be a hit, but not that big. Deadpool did numbers, people. Rated R, superhero movie did numbers. And it was worth it. I think it definitely deserved it. I really like Deadpool 1. I will say that rewatching it, it sometimes loses, because it's a very jokey movie, but it doesn't have that long-lasting humor, a lot of pop culture references and things. However, I still enjoy it when I watch it. I still pop it on. I still think the action's really fun. I think Ryan Reynolds, this is a passion project that bled through, and you can feel it. So for that, I'm putting it high up there with X-Men 2. I really, really dug it. All right, so we got Deadpool 2, and, this movie got a lot of shit on. But I liked it. I won't say it's as good as 1, because it's not. I will say it has some of the funnier jokes of the entire, like, both of them. And I do think that the fights are even better because they have a lot more budget and a lot more time to show it. And there's that awesome fight in the car van thing that in the middle of the movie that's great. I think less of the jokes land. I think some of them fall a little flat for me. And I think the story is just super bizarre. But as a movie, as an entertainment piece, I definitely enjoy watching this movie. I didn't have any bad time with it. I'm really surprised some people are like it's awful. I won't say it's as good as 1 or X-Men 2, but definitely better than First Class and Days of Future Past. I wish I had like one in between, like pretty damn good and solid. I put like good solid, damn good solid. All right, and last but not least, the very last Fox Mutant X-Men film, New Mutants. It was kind of just dull. I will say Magic, though, was fucking badass in this movie. But the rest, meh, not much to say, really. This is a movie I barely remember. And it was like the last movie I saw, or the first movie I saw after, like, COVID first came through. And not the best movie to come back to theaters for. So, yeah, that's my list. You know what? X-Men is not too bad. I always kind of criticize the Fox X-Men films because I feel like they don't really feel like X-Men that much. And obviously the best ones for me are more of the character-driven ones like Logan or Deadpool. But yeah, I still think X-Men 2 is a lot of fun rewatching it. And I would rewatch pretty much all of the solid 2, Deadpool 2 and X-Men Days of Future Past. Even First Class if someone wanted to watch it. The others, not so. I'll tell you right now, that Wolverine Origins, man, that movie fucking literally pissed me off. I was legit mad watching that movie. Like, legit mad. Like, hate watching that movie. Like, I hate this movie. Corny ass fucking special effects looking like goddamn 2001 and 2010 or whenever that movie came out, 2008. And don't tell me they didn't have money. They had money after making X-Men 1, 2, and 3. Fuck that movie. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my list. If you did, remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you like. If you have your own ranking, I would love to see it below. You don't have to rank all of them. Or just give me your top 3 that you love. If you disagree with me, let me know. What do you think belongs in the Chuck Austin X-Men level bad, which means the poopy cocky horse shit level garbage? Let me know below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. I'm not going to do that ever again.